Once again, welcome to you, Joyce Wazir Rali. It is such a pleasure to have you for this Ask the Author series for our new book, Life After Trauma.
Thank you, Andrea, for inviting me for the interview. And thank you for coming to my life.
Oh, it is a mutual pleasure for both of us. I really do believe, as I know you do, that we call people into our lives. We are really co-creating our lives with the divine and with one another. So I'm super excited that we're connected now, that we're collaborating on some things. And I really love how your work is really multiple layers. You're working with people on a mind, body, soul, and environment. It's beautiful work that you're doing.
Thank you. I love my work.
And it shows. So I'm excited that we get to share your story in English for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the story that you share in Life After Trauma is your story is a little different from others in that we don't know exactly what that trauma is in the beginning that leads to this physical manifestation. And instead, your story actually starts off with this vision, this call rather to check on your vision. You were literally told to go see the eye doctor, right?
Yeah. So it happened in the morning. When I wake up, sometimes I get a message or a voice talking with me and saying you have to do this or that. But I don't always listen to it unless it comes every morning. Then I think, okay, I have to do something about it. So that happened also with my eyes. I get a message, I have to go to the optician to measure my eyeball pressure because it's too high. But I didn't have a vision problem, so I thought, no, why should I go? But because it kept coming and coming back, I went to the optician. And so he said, because you're not 50 yet, I didn't measure your eyeball pressure, and I will do that if you like to. So he couldn't measure my eyeball pressure, and then he measured his own and from his colleague, and they get a measurement. So and he got worried, and he called the manufacturer of the device because my eyeball pressure would be much too high or too low, and so he changed something in the device, and then he could measure, and it was normally the highest point is 20, and mine was 37.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a shock for me. I thought, how is it possible? I don't feel anything, and I can see everything. So
wow, I just got chills.
Yeah.
37. So
37, yes.
but I love how you say that sometimes you'll get a message and you don't always listen, but because it was so insistent, you said, okay, fine, I'll go to the eye doctor, which is awesome because so many of us, if we get a message or we have something nagging at us, we don't do it until there is pain. And with something like increased eyeball pressure, which can damage your vision, it can lead to blindness. Normally people don't go to get it checked until there are symptoms. So thank God for your inner voice.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
And so what happened next? They sent you to a specialist, right?
A specialist, yes. And the specialist measured my eyeball pressure, and he said, the measurement was right. It is still 37. And I have to give you eye drops. And you have to use eye drops for the rest of your life. And he gave me a folder with information about glaucoma. From now on, you're a glaucoma patient, he said. And I was shocked, another shock. I thought, what is glaucoma? I haven't heard about it, what the effects are from glaucoma. And when I read about it, I was more shocked. And so I started to use the eye drops because it would help me. And but the eye drops had a lot of side effects. it was very bad for the rest of my body. And um, thinking about that, I would sit in a wheelchair and have to move to another house, and I couldn't take care of my two kids who needed me, and
So
I
all
couldn't
these thoughts are
what
going
he
through your
did.
head.
Yes, I thought, oh yeah, so what should I do? Because the eye drops helps to get my eyeball pressure normal, but the side effects were more bad than whatever. But if I stopped with the eye drops, I could become blind. So
Yeah, it's like weighing these two bad
yeah,
outcomes.
yeah, I didn't know what to do. And then I realized I had to do something, but I didn't know what. And then the inner voice of mine said, "Go to your doctor."
Mm-hmm.
So I went to my doctor, and he had another eye specialist for me who used other eye drops without side effects or a minimum of side effects. And so I went to that doctor, and he gave me other drops that helped also, but I didn't have side effects.
Mm. And so you got, with those drops, your eye pressure came down, which means
Yeah,
the
no,
glaucoma was not going to end up, destroying your vision.
yeah,
But then you got a shock at your follow-up visit that
yeah,
you couldn't have those drops anymore.
no, no, because it was not scientifically proved. So
So was it like a holistic
yeah,
eye drop
yeah,
that was just
yeah,
created by this independent? Okay.
yeah, yeah, but the colleagues of my new eye specialist said you're not allowed to prescribe this anymore.
Wow.
So I couldn't use it anymore. So I had to find another solution. And then I always say to my clients, if you have a problem or a trigger, you have to discover inside yourself for the solution. So I started to think about what does this mean on a scientific way, the glaucoma, but also on other levels of uh, physical, emotional, social, spiritual, on soul level. So I was examining my own life and what does this mean for me, and how can I get rid of this without using medicines. So I found the solution, and I went to a colleague and I asked him to do a process with me. I wrote down the process myself, and that helped me. It had to do with the trauma. And
So I love that link that you made between it. You said, okay, based on your holistic view of how the human body, mind system, along with our spirit, all of that works. That's what led you to find, another colleague to put this together, right?
yeah, yeah, I gave the instructions to him, and he did it for me. So it helped.
Right. And so this idea that you said, I love the way you wrote it in the book, that you said, if the eyes are really the window to the soul, then because this is an eye problem, maybe the cause is on a soul level. And as you started to dig underneath, you thought, well, okay, it's a problem with the musculature of the eye, so maybe there's some
Yeah,
sort of trauma we need to look at to
yeah.
relax those muscles. So how did you come to think that there might have been a trauma that was stored in the body that was related to this?
Because from experience, I know that we hold traumas somewhere in our body, and it gives tensions here and there. And when it gives tensions on your shoulder, you can massage your shoulder. But when it gets tension in your eyeball, you can't do massage. You can't use your hands or whatever. So I had to find a solution how how to get the trauma back away. And then I discovered myself this way to heal the trauma for myself.
Wow. And are you
Yeah.
using that same sort of process now in your work with your company?
Yes.
So
Yes.
your company is called Heliotropo, and we've talked about this in our conversation about your other story in the book Magic and Miracles. So Heliotropo comes from the Greek, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a Greek word, and it means growing to the sun, growing to a new and higher awareness. And
Hmm.
I believe that we are all born with the sun in our hearts, and through life experiences, the light gets dimmed.
Hmm.
By growing to your sun, your light will shine more and more and shine on your own life path and also on the life path of your environment and to get more peace in the world. So
Hmm. I
that's why
love
I'm
it.
doing.
I love it. And part of your work now, you work with people on an individual level, but also teams and in the business realm. So tell me, how do you apply this knowledge of knowing all of these connections on multiple levels and knowing that it's the trauma that sometimes holds us back? Like, for example, can you give me an example in business? How would you apply this lesson for business?
Yeah, I will give you an example. I was invited by a director, owner of a company. It was a wholesale company with 20 staff members, and the business was not going very well because the sale volume decreased and the profit decreased, and they had to do something. But they already had advisors and consultants and who came and they listened to the story and wrote it down in the papers, and then that was it. So it didn't change anything for the owner of the business. It only changed that he had less money. He had to pay a lot, and and the report he put in a drawer somewhere, and he said, "What makes you different from the other consultants?" I said, I don't write a report. I write maybe 2 or 3 pages, but I'm going to work with you, and I'm going to work with your staff members. And I'm looking at a different way at an organization and the people working in the organization. So he was selling a unique product to his clients, and it was important that there must be a new product. So he had to innovate new things for his clients, and he was the only person who did the innovation. But his staff members couldn't work without asking him everything. So he couldn't do anything about the innovation. And what he did was in the evening at home, so he didn't have time for his wife and kids. And he said, it's not good for my private life also. It has to change. So I started to ask questions about the history of the company and his own history and what happened. But I also listened between the lines, and I also use my intuition, because sometimes people don't know some things and they can't tell everything. But my intuition works also together with the information I get from the people. So it was a family business for 4 generations, and we found out that there was a trauma in the second and the third generation of the company, and it had to do with the directors. And so we worked on that trauma, and then it's like magic. The people, the staff members working in the company could work independent. They didn't have to come to the director to ask, can you help me with it? Can you help me with that?
So
They were,
did you have to do any interventions on the physical
yeah,
level, like, okay, now we're going to change the structure of how you work, or?
not yet. I
Wow.
did an intervention on soul level. On
Wow.
soul
So the
level
soul of the
me.
business.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That was the transformation, the first transformation.
That's
And then,
impeccable.
yeah. yeah.
And
So,
so the same wisdom applies. You know, our
yeah,
bodies hold information, they hold traumas, our
mm,
brains, our muscles, our
yeah,
tissues, our cells. And so
yeah,
why wouldn't it? That makes total sense. Why wouldn't an organization which becomes its own life force, it might
yeah,
hold the energy and the information of people who've been there before, people who've passed the company down.
yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah.
And
So
so
he didn't believe it would help, but afterwards he said, "This was the best I could do." So he was so thankful, and his company is blooming and flourishing, and it's going very well.
I love
Yeah,
it. And so you do the same thing with individuals then. So
yeah,
healing trauma for us humans, you can also help us move forward in our health or vitality, relationships.
yeah, yeah. What I do is I don't get into the scene of the trauma, so the
So it's
people
not
don't have.
re-triggering anything.
No, no, because that's another trauma on the trauma
Yeah.
for me and so for my clients. So we don't go into the trauma. We take out the best parts, what left in the trauma. Because I have another example. I had a client, a woman who couldn't make choices in her life, and she was already in the middle ages, had children, but she could make choices for other people. So what we discovered was that when she was a little girl, she was not allowed to talk about her emotions, don't show your emotions. And so she stopped the connection with her emotions. But when a child stops to connect with their feelings and emotions, what happens is they stop to be a child and they stop to be what children are, joyful, innocent, playful, intuitive, creative. That part is also gone. But by healing the trauma, that part comes back to the person. So that lady can make choices now by herself without looking outside for answers.
I love
So,
it.
so it works like this.
And so you also do teaching and workshops. So it's one-to-one working with companies, but also workshops, huh?
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. So it's on my website.
Yes, you can check Joyce out online
Yeah,
at heliotropo.nl. It's in Dutch, but look for the little button you can click for those of us English speakers. So Joyce, I think it's so impressive, and you've actually told me other stories of other miraculous healings that you've been
yeah,
able to, just through this connection you have with your intuition and identifying things on multiple levels, on a soul level. What I'm curious to know is, do you think we all have that capacity?
that's a good question. I think we all have it, but we have to work on it. So
Yeah,
it's not a gift, and you can open it. The gift is what you experience in life. So when you experience things in life which are bad or don't feel well, try to find the solution in yourself, and that's the way you get more open for the intuition or the inner voice or whatever.
yeah.
So,
And so, how's your eye pressure today?
oh, it's normal. I don't use the eye drops for years now, and I get a checkup every year, but it's still normal. And
Yeah.
my eye doctor said, keep on going that way. So,
That is so incredible. I mean, for me particularly, because there are many people in my family who have glaucoma. My mother, unfortunately, is nearly blind. So
yeah.
I wish we had heard about these ideas of getting in there to understand where that link could be. So this is incredibly powerful information that you're sharing, really.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Joyce, it's such a pleasure. I'm so grateful that you are in my world and that we are connected and that we can collaborate on some things in the
Yeah.
coming months. Thank you again for sharing this beautiful story with us in Life After Trauma, as well as in the book Magic and Miracles.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andrea.
So once again, be sure to connect with Joyce online at heliotropo.nl. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Did you enjoy that interview? I sincerely hope so. Please support the author by getting a copy of the book and check out all of the author interviews and some free gifts by visiting myliferewritten.com. I appreciate you so much for tuning into this series. If you enjoyed it, be sure to click the like button and share this video with someone who needs a little positivity and a reminder that they are stronger than they think. Until I see you again, my friend, remember that you are a gift to this world. So share your presence with passion. Much love.